Hello everyone, hope you're doing okay. I just got another video for you, and this is Lewis Hamilton versus Michael Schumacher, the Battle of Legends. Yeah. So at the end of the day, both of them got 7 world championships. So you can put them close in category. And obviously, I wanted to make this video because Lewis had to climb up the ladder. He never had no world championships before 2007. And he's got 7 now, and Michael had 7 before he retired. And when Michael came back, Michael was a 7-time world champion. So probably two of the most greatest statistical world championship drivers in Formula One history. And I wanted to just elaborate on this image above and just go through it a little bit. So you got number of wins. You got 103 for Lewis Hamilton and 91 for Ferrari. Sorry, for Michael. And Michael won most of his races in a Ferrari. He won a few with Benetton. And also Lewis has won most of his races with Mercedes. But he's won all his races using the same engine. And obviously Michael used different engines. He used a Ferrari engine, and when he was at Benetton, I think it was a Renault engine. So, Michael's won world championships with different engines, but Lewis has won world championships with the same engines. And looking at their 91 Grand Prix wins, I think the last Grand Prix win for Michael Schumacher was in 2006, where he won the Chinese Grand Prix. So the last race that Michael Schumacher won was the 2006 Chinese Grand Prix, and the last race that Lewis Hamilton won was the 2021 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Yeah, that's the last race that Lewis won. So obviously Lewis is still an active driver, and Michael's not active no more. And looking at the number of podiums, Lewis is about a few podiums ahead. And obviously Michael held the record previously, but Lewis has managed to climb up the ladder and clear that record. So Lewis got 182 podiums, and Michael has 155 podiums. So both of them done great in that field. And pole positions, you got 103 pole positions for Lewis Hamilton and 68 pole positions for Michael Schumacher. So most of Michael's poles, there were some strong poles, there were some good poles, and he held the record of the most poles, and Lewis beat that, and then he's put about nearly 40 more extra, so yeah, it's looking good for Lewis in that section. And then when you come to world championships, he got 7. So now let's dive into the world championships. So I'll start with Michael. Yeah, so Michael's first world championship, just looking at the stats, was in 1994. 1994. And how many wins did he have? He had, in 1994, Michael had 8 victories. Yeah. And he had 8 victories, So that was a great championship for him. So that was Michael's first world championship. And then coming on to Lewis Hamilton's first world championship, he had his first world championship in 2008. So the first world championship for Lewis Hamilton, he was at Vodafone McLaren Mercedes, and he had 18 race starts and 5 victories. 5 victories. Podiums, he had 10 podiums, and pole positions, he had 7. So that was Lewis's first world championship. And after the heartbreak of the previous season, him losing it, to the Ferrari of Kimi Räikkönen in 2007. That was a good championship for Lewis to win, and he won it on the last corner on the last lap. So that was such a brilliant race, and yeah. So going back to Michael's second world championship, and actually let me just put this information there. Michael's first world championship in 1994, he had it in he scored 92 points, because it was a 10-point must system as well. And Lewis in 2008 had 98 points, and it was a 10-point system as well. So the race winner used to get 10 points, and second place get 8 points, and then third place get 6 points, and so on and so forth. So coming back to Michael's second world championship, he won his second world championship in 1995 for mild 7 Benetton Renault, and he has 17 race starts, and he had 8 victories, 10 podiums, and 6 pole positions. And fastest lap, he had 8 fastest laps, So that was a strong season. That was a strong season by Michael. And he scored 102 points. In the 1995 season, and he was crowned world champion. So Michael, that's how he's building himself up slowly. But you can see after Michael's second world championship, there's a gap of 4 years. So he left Benetton for Ferrari in 1996, and it was a work in progress with Ferrari until the 2000s. So going back to Lewis Hamilton's second world championship, we roll into 2014, and Hamilton signed for Mercedes-AMG Petronas F1 team in 2013, and yeah, in 2014 Mercedes has a strong car, and he had a battle for the championship with his teammate Nico Rosberg. And Rosberg is another subject that we have to touch on, Rosberg and Hamilton, but that's for a later date. And then so in 2014, Hamilton had 19 race starts, 11 wins, 16 podiums, 7 pole positions, 7 fastest laps, and he scored 384 points, and he was drivers world champion that season. So that's Hamilton's second world championship, which came in 2014. So both of them got 2 each now. Michael's won in 94, 95, and Lewis's one was in 2008. He had a gap of 5 years, and in the 6th year he won another world championship in 2014 with Mercedes-AMG Petronas. And I want to touch on the point system at that time. The point system was 25-point system that we have currently in place for the Formula One. So if you want to know about the point system, just type in the points for Formula One in Google, and it will come up. It will show you the categories, like first place gets 25, second place gets 18, third place gets 15, and and so on and so forth. So coming to Michael Schumacher's third world championship, you're coming to 2000. And 2000, he was a Scuderia Ferrari Marlboro. He had 17 race starts. He won 9 races. He had 12 podiums, 9 pole positions, and 2 fastest laps. And he had 108 points. 108 points, and he was crowned world champion that season in 2000. And I'm sure it was a 10-point must system them times as well, And so Michael Schumacher's third world championship came in 2000, and then Lewis's third world championship came in 2015 for Mercedes-AMG Petronas F1 team. So you had 19 race starts for him, 10 wins, 17 podiums, 11 pole positions, and 8 fastest laps. So that season he scored 381 points. He scored 381 points and he was crowned world championship. So the third world championship for Lewis Hamilton was in 2015. And now the fourth world championship for Michael was in 2001. 2001, Michael won the championship. He had 17 race starts, 9 wins, 14 podiums, 11 pole positions, and 3 fastest laps. He scored 123 points and he was crowned world champion that season. So that Michael's fourth world championship came in 2001. And then Lewis's fourth world championship, he came in 2017. Because remember in 2016, he lost the world championship. So he had a gap after he won 2 in a row. He had a gap to 2017 and he had a massive battle with Ferrari Sebastian Vettel. He had 20 race starts, 9 wins, 13 podiums, 11 pole positions, and 7 fastest laps. And he scored 363 points, which is a strong amount. 363 points, and he was crowned world championship that season. So in 2017, Lewis Hamilton won his fourth world championship. So them times he's creeping slowly to Michael's record, but it did not look likely. So going to Michael's fifth world championship now, he had it with Scuderia Ferrari Marlboro. He has 17 race starts, 11 wins, 17 podiums, 7 pole positions, and 7 fastest laps. That season, Michael scored 144 points to become the world champion. So it was a 10-point mark system, but it was adjusted from the 90s, because the 90s it was 10 and second place get 6 and third place get 4 or something like that. But it was adjusted to 10, 8, 6 and 4, 2, so Michael was able to score more points. So he scored 144 points in 2002 to become a 5-time world champion, and that's breaking the duct, because he just beat Fangio's record of Fangio's got 4 world championships and he just had 5 world championships in 2002. So now moving on, we go on to Lewis Hamilton's 5th world championship. That was in 2018 with Mercedes-AMG Petronas Motorsport. And race starts, he had 21, wins he had 11, podiums he had 17, pole positions he had 11, and fastest laps he had 3. And then he scored 408 points to win the world championship. So that was in 2018. Hamilton was strong in that season and he gave Ferrari the business that season, So that's 2 world championships in a row to tally to 5 world championships for Lewis Hamilton. So we're getting closer to our target. Don't leave the video. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Talk about these 2 legends, and let me know your opinions on both of them, how they compare, who's a little bit better, who's slightly not better, who's, who drives the car better, but to me, they're both great drivers, so I rate them, equally, and I'll just put Lewis slightly above because of effective aggressiveness, So moving on to 2003, Michael won his 6th championship with Scuderia Ferrari, and race starts, he had 16 race starts, he won 6 races, he had 8 podiums, 5 pole positions, and 5 fastest laps. He scored 93 points and he became a world champion in 2003. That was when he had a massive battle with Kimi Räikkönen, and I think, Kimi Räikkönen and Fernando Alonso, I'm not too sure, in 2003. And then moving on, you go to Lewis Hamilton's 6th world championship, which came in 2019, you know, 2019. Lewis Hamilton had 21 race starts for Mercedes AMG Petronas Motorsport, 11 wins, 17 podiums, 5 pole positions, and 6 fastest laps. And he had 413 points to win the World Championships. So that became Lewis Hamilton's 6th World Championship, and he was just one behind Michael. So what I want to put in there is all these championships. Obviously, Michael won it way before Lewis came into Formula One. So Michael was already a legend in Formula One before Lewis Hamilton came in. So here we have the 6th World Championship for Lewis Hamilton, and that's in 2019. And going back to Michael's record, we have in 2004, Michael won 5 world championships in a row with Ferrari. So you got 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, and 2004. In 04, he had 18 race starts, 13 wins, 15 podiums, 8 pole positions, 10 fastest laps, and he scored 148 points to become the world champion. So that was Michael's last world championship. That was in 2004. And from then, Ferrari kind of slipped a bit until 07. So that was a great championship for Michael, and I'm sure he really enjoyed it. And that's 5 in a row, and that's never been done in Formula One, to win 5 world championships in a row. So kudos to Michael. He had a good record. He was a very aggressive driver. You know, he was good at learning the track, communicating with the engineers, you know, and Michael could fix the car himself. And even there's stories about how Michael used to spray paint the car himself, you know, and if he had a problem, he would help the engineers fix the car. And, you know, he was a darling of Ferrari, and, you know, a great driver, even though he had his, you know, flaws and all. But in all, Michael was a great driver. And I'm glad that he's up there, man. I'm glad that he's up there, so number 7 for Lewis now is in 2020, and that's the last World Championship Lewis has won. He had 16 race starts. Yeah. He had 11 wins, 14 podiums, 10 pole positions, 6 fastest laps, and he scored 347 points to become the world champion. Even though he dropped levels from 2019, he only needed 347 points to become a world champion. And in the 2020 season, it was between him and Valtteri, and I think Max finished 3rd in that season. So that was a great season for Lewis, and obviously both of them are legends. And now we finished with the World Championships. Now let's move on to race starts. So Lewis Hamilton has 291 race starts, and Michael Schumacher has 306 race starts. And obviously Michael drove on some of the modern tracks like Shanghai, and but he's more used to the old school tracks like Adelaide, like Australia, Victoria Park, and them kind of places there, Imola. And obviously Lewis has driven them tracks, but Lewis is used to more modern tracks as well, like let's talk about USA, Austin, so they're both good at adapting to racetracks, and adapting to the team, and communication with the team is top level. So both great drivers. And when Lewis is in the car, you want to watch the Grand Prix because it's exciting. He can always win, and he always fights and comes from the back. Michael's more precise. He knows how to put the car in pole position, and he knows how to come from the back and race and win as well. Even though Michael was a more aggressive overtaker than Lewis, like Michael will push you off the track, but Lewis is more clever. He can place his car in the right places. And when you come to Grand Slams, you got 6 Grand Slams for Lewis Hamilton, and 5 Grand Slams for Michael Schumacher. I think a Grand Slam is like be fast in every practice session, be fast in qualifying 1, be fast in qualifying 2, be fast in Q3 and get pole position, and then lead every lap. And then also, after you lead every lap, you have to get the fastest lap. That's where Grand Slam is, you know. So statistically, Lewis is slightly above Michael, and the 7 World Championships is enough for me. You know, Lewis can retire right now, and I wouldn't see it as a problem. So I'm looking at it like, at the end of the day, 7 World Championships is enough, but to add an 8th will be a bonus for Lewis Hamilton as well. And yeah. So I think I'm done with this video, and yeah, and to know it, just to make a note, obviously Michael won 2 World Championships with Benetton and 5 with Ferrari, so that total was 7. And Lewis won 1 with McLaren and 6 with Mercedes, and that total was 7. So the battle of the legends still continue because Lewis is an active driver, and in the future, he could break the 8th or he could retire. But I'm hoping Mercedes have a fast car for the next few years. And yeah, we could see him if he can go for that record for the 8th World Championship. That would be exciting. That would, you know what I mean, raise a couple of eyebrows. But yeah, I hope you enjoy Formula One. And yeah, stay positive, stay free, stay active, and take care. We out.